It is a world of darkness, and the warriors of Gaia fight over the fate of the world against their enemy, the cosmic force of entropy and corruption, the wyrm. Unbeknownst to mankind, they wage a war against the coming apocalypse, with new cubs taking up the cause to fight with fang, clave, and gun and claw. They give the wyrm no quarter. They give it only rage.
Hey, Dave. The door is opened to your shelter as dragged in is Darren, Hamid, naked, his skin burning red from the cold and the blizzard. As Snarls and Tara drag him in and close the door, dropping him near the fire.
Snarls would go to Lupus form.
Yeah, Tara would stay in his boat. But she'd get a blanket and just carelessly toss it over Darren.
Alright, what the fuck just happened? Why Darren naked? What the fuck going on?
Because he decided to go skinny dipping.
Oh, that's cute. That's cute. Can you tell me the real reason?
Snarls
Get did as get does and got angry.
Fuck it. God damn it.
Snarls would adjust his glasses and say, look, he did it earlier and he did it again now. He's not being controlled, and he's not listening to anyone. We need our Zadok. We can't be divided.
Based on what you just told me, sound like we ain't getting a Zadok till somebody proves it to Darren. I'm gonna say this right now. I don't wanna be Zadok. I ain't about that. I ain't a leader, I'm just a bit of a follower. Alright, I'm gonna be real with you. I know my strengths. I'm here to do the judging when I need to. When somebody asks me for that, I'm here for it. But
I'm gonna be real. If anyone should be Zadok, it's gotta be you, little miss.
Did someone say something? Darren, who was kind of lying prone on the floor, raises his head slowly and begins to shake it. Why am I on the ground? Looking down at his bare chest. Why am I naked?
I walk over and hold the blanket over him. You sort of, I look to everyone and then I say, did you ever watch the old show starring the Hulk back on TV? Any chance? You sort of raged out there, buddy. Yeah.
Snarls would go to Dave saying, you killed a spirit.
Why?
Because you succumbed to berserk.
Darren, pausing for a moment, raises himself onto his elbows in kind of a half plank, then sits on his heels, dragging the blanket over his bits. And why did I do that, Tara? Sounds like there's something more you want to say to that.
I say it like it is. That's what happened.
Now, and Darren begins to stand, grabbing the, making a full circuit of the blanket and holding it in his right hand, so his waist down is covered. I don't remember exactly what happened after I went berserk, but I get the feeling I know what happened before. And he looks at Snarls. We aren't finished.
and you're gonna do it the proper way this time, with the face down.
He turns his head to D. Watch your tone. I know you're a Philodox. But don't order me around.
As long as you don't try and kill him, yeah, I won't.
Darren's right eye kind of twitches. Just kind of looks at D for a minute. And resolves to look back at Snarls. I thought you were actually going to do something. He takes a step towards the wolf. With your hackles up. But, he just turned and fled. I'm not going to follow anyone who doesn't have the strength to lead me.
If you're suggesting that I was being cowardice by running away, you see, I have honor, unlike you, who is being uncontrolled.
And Darren immediately just with his right hand strikes Snarls in the throat and just holds him up. So he's standing on his hind legs and he's just holding his throat.
Go for a strength and brawl contested. Both of them. Darren very quickly seizes Snarls and pulls the wolf up, so they're staring at each other.
Don't you dare insult my honor!
Can I kick him, off of me?
Strength and brawl contested.
Dave would walk in the middle of the pair, and you said he's holding him up by his throat, so you try to grab Darren's wrist and push Dave by putting his hand on Dave's chest and push him away from Daryl.
Darren, go ahead and roll your strength and brawl. Charles claws practically at Darren's chest, yet the Get stands resolute. As you try to pull them apart, you frankly don't manage to do much but press your warm hand against Darren's still somewhat icy chest and feel Snarls' fur under your fingers. Darren is not budging lightly.
Whoa. We don't need to do this here. Both of you stop it. Calm down.
We're taking this outside. You two.
Yeah. You're not going to rip apart our house. Our only source of survival at the moment.
Unless you want to go be sleeping in the blizzard.
It's time for the face down. You two outside. We operate in this like usual.
Darren? Snarls?
Darren's just staring daggers at Snarls.
Darren, listen to me. You're challenging him, right?
Yeah.
The challenge chooses what challenge they do.
Let's take this outside.
And Darren just drops Snarls from his throat.
The moment the door is open, the biting winds of the blizzard slide in, bringing in a tuft of snow, which scatters at the foot of the bedding which was laid out, and the place where all of you were standing. The wind's so strong you can see some of the trees thinner and younger, and some of the older pines tilting as before your face, nothing can be seen after 10 feet. At once, Darren, your skin burns from the cold.
Darren takes a few steps into the blizzard and immediately shifts into Krynos.
Can I walk beside Darren and try to talk to him while he's in this state?
That's up to the Philodox. He's the one who is tasked with overseeing these things.
You ain't getting into the middle of this. The challenge has already been set up, so D's gonna hold you back if he sees you move, and then he's gonna lean in.
I'll look up to.
This can work out. I tried. It ain't working out any other way.
I'll give D a nod and whisper. I know, but Snarls is gonna get his face ripped off.
Hey, you know the rules, all right? Just gotta follow them. Not what I want, 100%, 110%. But this is the challenge that they got, so this is the challenge that's going to happen.
Okay.
I ain't Zadok. I can't tell them to do otherwise.
Philodox, I'd like to do a Gamecraft challenge.
It's been decided. Game Draft Challenge is up.
Okay, OC real quick. With Gamecraft, there's obviously the riddles. There's an Umbra one as well, right?
Gamecraft has, yes, the riddle contest. It involves no violence. That is, the Gamecraft can change depending, but traditionally it does come down to a riddle contest.
Then Snarls would suggest D-Prince. I think it would be important to have a challenge of culture, especially among Garu. So we'll be doing the riddle contest.
You heard him, Darren. Riddle contest up. This works simple. You ask a riddle, and you attempt to solve that riddle. You fail, then you lose. And you keep going back and forth until somebody fails. Typical riddle contest. No best of 3. None of that.
Do I still have my human voice box?
No. You'd have to roll Dex and Primal Urge.
I'm going to attempt that then. I'm staying in Kronos.
Your voice box shifts, altering so you may commune in the Hamid speech.
I ain't got a choice, do I?
No, sir. You got 5 minutes to prepare. Well, whatever the hell's equivalent to 5 minutes on this bullshit.
Darren sits down cross-legged in the snow and stares down at the snow just in front of his crossed legs. His hands making a front cage with his fingertips touching and his thumbs up. He's going into a not entirely meditation, but some hippies equivalent.
Deep thought.
Deep thought, yeah. Thank you very much.
Snarls would do the same.
Behind the Philodox, Tara standing next, shakes off the snow that has gathered on her.
Dee sitting there waiting is gonna, yeah. I'm gonna shift to Krynos, just in case things go south.
So will you be calling on the spirits to ask these riddles?
Wait, so we don't come up with it ourselves?
I mean, you can. It comes down to how the Philodox will do it. And if anything, he's the one who should be asking them if that's the case.
Okay.
I did not know that.
Well, how would you keep it fair if you can say, nope, that's not what I'm thinking of?
Oh, fucking true. Alright. In that case... yeah. Guess I'm asking the riddles. Your 5 minutes is up. At least I think it is. I'm close enough. I'm gonna be asking the riddles.
Darren just nods his huge head.
Snarls would ask, will they be for both of us to answer, or will you do it individually?
Individually.
Snarls would nod.
Alright. Darren, you up.
He again nods his huge head.
I am something people love or hate. I change people's appearances and thoughts. If a person takes care of themselves, I will go up even higher. To some people, I'll fool them. To the others, I'm a mystery. Some people might want to hide me, but I will show. No matter how hard people try, I will never go down. What am I?
I'm going to be rolling this and spending a willpower. What's the roll, Nyland, sorry?
Intelligence enigma.
What does that net him?
That nets him a hint. A vague one.
Vague hint, alright. It might not be something physical.
Age.
Correct. Snarls, you up next.
Snarls would nod.
There are 10 dragons in the castle. How many dragons are actually there?
The same as before. A vague implication to its concept of the answer rather than anything else.
The riddle's more mathematical.
Wait, do I actually have to come up with it myself? Because I have no fucking clue. Nyland, is there nothing else I can do?
I would say you're allowed one roll for each dot of wits you have. Just because that's how quick you think. So if you want, you can roll again.
Okay, I'm going to use another point of willpower. Oh, that is bullshit.
Back at square one.
Cool.
Honestly, even I don't know.
Yeah,
This
but
one has wisdom.
that's math. Math. There's 10 dragons in a castle. How many are actually there? Wait, and that's all that the riddle was, right? Just there are 10 dragons in the castle. How many are actually there?
That is the entire riddle.
Entire thing.
As the pack watches on, the snow begins to gather on Darren and Snarls' forms as they stand or sit. D stands out poignantly, the black jackal Krynos standing over the two, his snow, a molted mesh of slick melting snow on his flesh and that which is gathered on him, clinging to the fur.
Okay.
Pack watches as Snarls with his paw begins to scratch at his muzzle. He is in thought.
Darren's just staring. Blinking when he has to, but staring.
Can he call on a spirit to help him?
That's kind of cheating.
Well, isn't that
That's true.
you can be right? Is it possible to ask my ancestor if they know the answer?
Go ahead and roll your ancestors.
Okay, I'm gonna use willpower for an auto success.
As you gaze through the mirror shades into the umbra, you communicate in the way that is more natural to wolves, with scent and groans and yip. You sound very frustrated. Though your ancestor, a proud Garu, is visible. Distinctly a spirit, they are translucent yet watching, listening. Their legs crossed, their hands on their knees, they listen to your query before they ask, with a smile, I've never seen a dragon. Now, Philodox, perception, empathy, Snarls, charisma, subterfuge.
The fuck? That is. Can we go willpower for an auto success?
Yeah?
Cool. Spend the willpower as well.
You can tell he's muttering in wolf speak to himself, but you can't really make out what it is he's getting across. But you can tell he's muttering in wolf speak.
Snarls would say 0. There are none because dragons aren't real. After that, you hear him once again muttering in wolf speak, almost as like a prayer.
Tell me, Nyland, does my truth hearing buzz?
Well, he hasn't really told a lie.
Son of a bitch.
Though the pack, at least those that aren't focused on the riddles, can probably see D very briefly pinch his earring and then go back to consideration. Time for the next round of questions in this gamecraft.
Darren, you up next.
He nods.
What English word has 3 consecutive double letters?
As I said, I'm going to be keeping things fair with rolling. I am not going to spend willpower with this.
Darren, you're stumped. You're going through the entire English language going, oh man, I really wish I'd paid more attention in English and not math. If you want, you can roll again, because you do have a 2 in wits. Difficulty will be higher though.
Okay, I'll roll and I'll also spend willpower.
I will give the hint, as this is a fairly quick and easy one even for me. I suck at riddles. An occupation. You can all hear the crunch of snow as Tara, seeming to look away from the challenge, begins to make a short patrol around the area. A short moment after, Dave moves back inside of the shelter that he's made, shaking off the snow that's accumulated on the fur. The smell of blood, very faint, mainly the smell of fresh meat, becomes prevalent as fire begins stove. He's likely cooking up that moose. Now, very briefly out of character, I'm going to propose an option, whereas both of you make an intelligence roll, just intelligence, and we have a quick intermission, having decided the game craft, or we keep playing it out, but I am doing this in the interest of, everybody being able to do something.
Yeah, I'm down for that final roll.
Alright. In which case, both of you roll intelligence. Both of you roll again. Both managed to get through the second round. Snarls win. With a little bit of help from the sidelines.
They don't have to know that.
You better fucking hope I don't figure out.
Shame on you! Shame on your family! Shame on your cow! Next, we're going to be talking to vampires. Picking right up where we left off as the vampires are before the shelter. The howling blizzard at their backs making for a dark, gray smoke screen. You are visibly able to see one of them who is close enough to the entrance that the light inside allows you to vaguely see his features, whereas the others are merely black figures with red eyes.
Tara would shift into her Krynos form and step forward before the others to speak to their leader as the Galliard.
Meanwhile, Snarls would peer into the Umbra to see if there are any worm-tainted spirits surrounding them, or their general location.
Roll Gnosis.
And Darren, who is at the front of the pack, would step sideways and back a bit for Tara to take lead, as the Galliard should.
I would walk out and join them in Krynos form.
It is a bizarre sight to be seen. As each of you come from the shelter, you come in a shifting of forms, just as the vampires had shifted from their wolfish. You stand with a no man's land of snow and blowing wind between you. Yet, despite their homid forms, despite their light clothing in most cases, they appear as unaffected by the snow and the cold as you. Their undead flesh uncaring.
Would I see anything in the Umbra? Any spirits surrounding them?
There are spirits within the Umbra, naturally the spirits of everything around you, yet, if you mean Bane spirits, no. There are no Bane clinging or near them.
Snarls, having his attention placed back on them, would use heightened senses and try to read them.
Perception of them. I will say to the Galliard, roll your intelligence and etiquette. You know that by custom, you should refer to them with the suffix, actually after finding out their name, Ichthia. Whereas if you refer to any member of your pack, considering they are your honored equals, it would be Yulf. So it would be Darren Yulf or Dave Yulf. As for yourself, you have no need for suffix. You are speaking for yourself. Since none of you here is presently a Zadok of any kind or of greater rank, Rhea doesn't really enter the equation.
But approaching the, I suppose, leader of these vampires.
Cadaver, leech.
She'd stop a slight distance away, but before the others, and addressing their leader, say, I am Tara, and this is my pack. Who are you?
With his hands slightly held up so that they are to either side of his face, not above his head. It's clear he's showing he doesn't mean any harm. Nevertheless, he speaks calmly, plainly. I am John. We're just moving through the area. We have no qualm with you.
Tara gives a bit of a incline of the head as she says, John Ixia, where are you and yours traveling? She says a bit more relaxed in her posture.
You can see some of the shimmering glimmer of the red eyes shift, looking amongst themselves. One stares constantly, not changing where they look. The leader is slow to answer. Alberta. We're going to one of the cities there.
Out of character, whereabouts is that? Like, west, south, east?
West.
Oh, lovely. She would ask, how long have you been in this area?
Only a small amount of time. Just long enough to feed. We're perfectly happy to share our kills. We need only the blood.
She glances to the spot which they had brought. Not moving ahead, but just around. She says, we accept and appreciate the gift, and are willing to not interfere with you, as long as you do not feed on any of the nearby villages.
We've deliberately kept away from feeding off of the villagers. In places like this, your kind tend to have kin among the peoples in those kinds of places. We're not looking for trouble. We've watched, and we've stayed off to the sides, preying on the wildlife.
She gives a nod, seeming to respect that.
If you want, we'll leave you be. As I said, we're traveling. We only lay claim to what area we need to hunt for any.
Out of character, what time of night is it right?
Still very early into the evening. You guys will need sleep. They won't. So making an enemy of them now would be, thus far, pointless and dangerous.
But out of character, we have no idea what we're being hunted.
No.
Okay, but it is coming from the west.
Yes. Whereas these guys have been off around the village, at most watching it, at least to your knowledge.
But tonight we can't. Like, we have to sleep. Yeah?
But you plan on not sleeping, which means, well, make being active a little tougher. And you probably won't be as on your A game as you would like.
Tara would say, almost a bit hesitantly, we are happy for us to stay out of each other's way. However, there is something I would ask your assistance, and if you'd be willing to help, we would not forget it.
At that, all the vampires look between each other. Even the leader takes his eyes off him. When he looks back, he crosses his arms over his chest. We're listening. Just
If you-
as you begin to speak, you can hear the sound of as Darren begins to sharpen his claws. In particular, but Tara, you can see, not on the leader, but on one or two of the others, they shift awkwardly. You see why. At that motion, at that sound, several of them grow these black wolfish claws from their fingers.
Darren just looks up from the ground with like an innocent look on his direwolf face towards the vampires and stops pawing the ground.
And Tara continues saying, if you are traveling westward, we would want to know if you come across anything out of the ordinary, animals that seem more aggressive than be otherwise, or anything you would describe as a black mark.
We've seen some things out of the ordinary back at the village. but that might just be the tides of change flowing.
What have you noticed?
Town is small. My guess is it's been this way for a long time. Haven't been through here. But it's easy to see that change has finally come. There's a lot of excavation sites around the village. Croter's Pass, it's called. From what I can tell, the trucks moving through are from a company called Grand Enterprises. I've also seen a couple of trucks from Omnicron Oil. He shrugs his shoulders. They have a few mines around the area, the biggest one being Blackwolf Mine. He points over his shoulder with a thumb.
Out of character, do those companies...
I would say Dave and Tara roll your wits and alertness for Tara. Dave, you have the option of wits and alertness or wits and streetwise.
I would like to use a point of willpower.
Same here.
Grand Enterprise. Neither of you really recognize that one. But Omnicron? That's a Pentex subsidiary.
I'm going to speak up and look to Tara as I actually will look at Tara and then speak up. How far back was that mine?
Out of character, did they mention whereabouts?
Well, he thumbed over his shoulder, and the only road that led there was the 102A. Kind of went up a hill.
But we don't know how far.
Honestly, a few miles away. Maybe 3 at most.
Okay.
And the vampire in question, lowering his hand, says, about 3 miles north.
I give a nod and say, thank you.
It's not something we've dealt with. It has no relation to us, so we have no reason to care.
I look to Tara and I make a note. You know you're in Wendigo territory, right?
At that, they all pause and exchange a glance between each other.
Dave is in Krynos, right?
Correct.
Does his tail reach the ground?
Yes.
Then I'm going to slowly, casually walk over to him and, with my now sharpened claws, kind of, sit down and place one of my forepaws on the back of his tail. Just very, very, very lightly.
As Dave says that and Darren goes to move, Tara would just say in the Garu tongue, let me talk to them.
Dave would give a nod.
Darren would stop mid his paw going down onto his tail and settle his paw, not cutting it.
D, you're the only one who can see from your vantage point, but one of the vampires inclines forward. You get a very brief glimpse that from their figure, it's a woman with blonde hair. She whispers something, and that's when the leader holds up his hand.
I'd like to try and listen to what she said, because I'm in lupus form, which means I have good hearing.
Go ahead. Perception alertness. Well, you're out of luck. Snarls, however, despite the blaring of the blizzard, this constant mooch of air and snow, you can distinctly hear a very French, actually, a very weird way of speaking, because you're a wolf. As the woman explains, Wendigo would be the native, but it stands to reason that these are not the native wolves of the region. They pretty much said, yeah, Wendigos are a Native American thing, so maybe they're talking about Native American werewolves?
Okay. How is she positioned? Which one is she?
Facing them, she's the one just off his right shoulder. Well, your right is left.
Okay. Could I read to see if is it bad intent?
What I can't see is she sounds a little excited.
Tara would give a nod at what he said. And then again ask, if you are going west, will you let us know what you come across?
He steps forward several paces, close enough that both of you are within arm's reach of each other. How can we find you?
8 miles northwest, there is a clearing. Meet us there tomorrow night.
He holds out his hand to you. I'm John. I'll most likely send Gabrielle to speak. The woman stepping forward smiles. She's very bare. A crop top, jeans, no shoes. If she were human, she'd be frozen stiff as a board. As it stands, she looks perfectly at ease.
Tara takes his hand, closing her clawed hand around his, tightly but not too tight to cut him. But she gives one firm shake. As I do so, I want to try and read him.
Perception empathy. The most disturbing thing to you is he doesn't seem afraid. He releases your hand, the woman behind him offering a polite smile. As he begins to turn, then stops, looking back at you. Enjoy the beer. If you travel by day, he holds up a hand and you watch as the claws grow from his fingertips, long and black. He cups his wrist with his other hand. If you find this mark on a tree, go further north and around that area. We won't be there during the day.
She nods.
Leave your own markings if you wish us to follow.
Until tomorrow night, then.
He nods and does firmly turn his back on you. The other 4 watch as he approaches them. And once he moves past them, they walk backward a couple of steps before turning, each on their own accord fading into the fog of the blizzard, slowly returning back to the forms of wolves.
Then Darren steps on Dave's tail.
Tara would look to Snarls and in...
As you look around, where did he... It's in the Umbra.